Hello, welcome traders. It is Wednesday, February 19th, 2025. Let's get into it. I'm going to share with you five trade ideas today. So I got five trade ideas that we put on so far this week. I think you'll like these trades, so I'm going to get to these. Before we jump into these trades, let's quickly go through some of the charts, give you some of the setups that I'm looking at, and then I'll go into the accounts and we'll put these trades on. We'll take a look at what our balances are as well out there. In fact, let's get to that first so we can just focus on the charts. So I like to share where I am, what I'm doing here with you guys so you can get a chance to see what it looks like. And here we are with results on the year so far in the normal Income Navigator, which is our main trading account that we have kind of in a holding pattern for 3 days now since last Friday. While the market's been moving up a bit, we've kind of been sideways. We have a couple spec trades that are not performing as well, but we're not taking any losses. It's just that Nedlick hasn't really kept up with it as much as possible. We did drop in Delta today. Not really sure the reasoning behind that. It seems like a kind of a funky move overall on the Delta side, but Delta did drop today. Markets did go up, so it could have something to do with it a bit here on the session. But Theta also went up, and we really didn't put on a lot of trades uh, since yesterday. So let's get into these anyway. But we're sitting here at 397,410 on our net lick. That is an increase of $29,000 since the start of the month, or start of the year, I should say. So we've increased 29,000, which is 7.89%. So we're up almost 8% on a year. Not too bad. S&P is up 4.8%. So we're doubling the S&P so far. It's early in the year, but we're having a really, really good year. We've also generated $33,000 worth of realized gains. So these are gains that I've already closed. So I'm not telling you that, hey, I sold $30,000 worth of premium today, okay, and I made $30,000 in 2 minutes. No, we made $33,000 this year by closing trades, not by opening them. You can't count your income until you close the trade. All right, so there we go on the Income Navigator account, and then the investing account that we track as well. We closed the day today at 390,062, which is close to the high for the year. We're off by about $1,000. So we're about $1,000 short of a new all-time high in here. But we'll look at this account more in depth because this is where we're going to be putting on several trades today in this account. But Delta is fine, 0.2 percent. Theta is fine. So it's not all about selling premium in this account because we do have long trades on as well. It's an investing account, not an actively traded account. But if you look at this, we have increased our net like $31,000 in this account as well. This is up almost 9% for the year, 8.8% on the year. We've generated $4,800 in realized gains, but again, it's not an active trading account. You can see we go days without closing or opening trades. No, I shouldn't say opening. We go days without closing trades because this is really a long-term growth account. This account is designed to grow at about 1.5% a month. Okay, this is not an active trading account. The active trading account is the Income Navigator account. I'm in that account. We're trading Strangles, 112 trades. We're trading naked puts, shorter term in there. Sometimes we'll do covered Strangles, some other things in that account. And even the income foreman covered call is done in that account. In the investing account, we're really focused primarily on leaps. Okay. So selling leaps for the most part, and we may at times buy the underlying indexes or stocks long term with long term leap calls. But primarily, this is a naked put leap selling long term portfolio. We're going to cover three trades I added today. I'll talk about why, and we'll analyze those trades a bit for you. So, giving you some context in the two accounts, let's get into some charts and see what there are, what trades there are to come up with, and then we'll get into the actual trades for you today. All right, let me get off video here for a few minutes so you can see the screen. So hopefully you are seeing my screen now. We are sharing the Trading view charts here, and you can see well how we end the day on ES here. We're up $8. Not a huge up day, but not bad. Beats a stick in the eye. We did break to new all-time highs on the index today. We're bouncing right on these Bollinger Bands. We're trying to break through this resistance level, and it's been a problem for 2 days. Today it looked like we were breaking through it decently, but then we backed off towards the end of the session, and now we're right back at that amount. So if you look at that, I mean, we're really pretty much right at this resistance level, and we'll keep an eye on how we do over the next couple days. If we break this, I really think things are going to take off to the upside even more. MACD is rising, RSI is rising, and not even above the 70 yet. Stochastic momentum is rising on the daily. On the weekly, MACD's been rising and reversing off the lows. RSI is rising. Stochastic momentum's rising. We're above all of our moving averages here. So again, both the weekly and the daily charts look pretty good as we break out of this uh, value area that we've been in for a while, and that might serve to be maybe if we come down here, we can still bounce and head higher. This range here has held up for many, many months, and we've started to break out of that, and now we're back to new all-time highs. Let's see how these things continue. All right, let's take a quick look at oil. Oil down here on the bottom. We actually put on an oil trade. I'm not going to cover it tonight in this, but looking at oil down here, this looks like a pretty decent basing level down here. I think we can go lower, we can go higher. I think oil sets up really great for a strangle opportunity in here, right at the 21-day moving average. You got RSI right in the middle at 48, not super strong in one way or the other on both the weekly and the daily, both of them at the 21, both of them right in the middle of the Bollinger Bands, the three ATR bands. I think this really sets up great. You can see the white bands here on the weekly. We're right in the middle of these two ATR bands and right in the middle of the Bollinger. It's a perfect strangle setup, in my opinion, on oil. All right, gold. So gold, we actually did a broken wing butterfly trade. Not going to share that one today either. We did that yesterday. Why did we do that yesterday? Well, we had a pretty good rebound off of this selling, bounce off the 13 EMA, moving its way higher. I think if gold wants to rip its way a little bit higher here, I wanted to trade something that didn't give me much risk. So, broken wing butterfly, there's not a lot of risk to the downside because you're buying the trade, so there's no downside risk. And if we move higher into the tent or beyond it, there's no limiting upside risk on this thing, so it can go as high as it wants, and we still make roughly a 2-to-1 reward to risk on that. So gold looks great, moving higher here. Might be tired, but I think we still could go higher. All right, bonds just meandering sideways. There's just not much going on in bonds here. This will be the trade we'll look at today. So we'll be looking at actually TLT, but same basic premise. If you're looking at TLT and bonds, the chart looks pretty similar. TLT is gapping all over the place here, but we're going to do another weekly covered strangle on this, and we're going to talk more about this particular trade as we go. So there's where we are on bonds, and then I'll quickly cover small caps, which they've just been in this trading range for quite some time now. I think they could be getting ready to make some kind of a move to the upside. I'm not getting too excited about it. We'll put on a 1-1-2 trade in RTY here. So if we do run to the upside here, I think we'll have no risk to the upside. And if we do drift a little lower, if we end up in the trap, then this thing will really pay off 2 to 3 times more than we expected. So I think either way, it's a good setup. This is also really a pretty good strangle setup. It's been a great strangle trade now, dating all the way back to this big move back here mid-December. I think it's a great strangle trade on small caps or the Russell. All right, let's pick out a few stocks that we want to trade today. So Amazon, I mentioned it yesterday on Twitter that I thought this was a pretty good reversal candle on the day that this could be signaling a bounce or holding off of the 50. Okay, but you got to see the follow through, which we did not get. But the same type of a thing happened today. Now today it's a little different. Yesterday was a red candle, which means we finished lower on the session off our lows, but we finished off of where we opened. If you look at the candle for today, okay, we gapped down a bit. We rebounded, we ran a little bit lower, came off of our lows, and we finished near the highs of the day on Amazon. And we're holding the 50-day moving exponential moving average here on the daily. And we're now oversold on the stochastic momentum. Now we're not curled and heading higher, okay, but this MACD is getting a bit overdone to the downside. It could fall further, but this is a pretty long drop here. You've got RSI still falling, so there still could be more downside to go. But overall, I think this is not a bad entry spot if you like Amazon for the long term. We're still in a series of higher highs and potentially higher lows. All right, so let's take a look at the next stock. And that stock is going to be NVIDIA. All right, so we're going to skip to NVIDIA here. Now, we are going to put a trade on in NVIDIA today, but when you looked at Amazon, it looks like a pretty good swing type of a trade or a bounce potentially off the 50 EMA. Now, whether that happens or not will be seen maybe tomorrow. But NVIDIA, this low, we got all kinds of long down here on this low. Okay. Now it's made a big run and maybe losing a little bit of its steam, but you can see here on the weekly chart that MACD is just reversing and moving its way higher. RSI is rising, stochastic momentum is rising. So we've got some momentum to the upside on the weekly. And then when we come to the daily chart here, uh, you've got a little bit of a little bit of a rollover. We've had a nice run. Timing may not be 100% perfect on this trade, but I'm going to go with a long-term trade. Uh, so I think we're still in good shape on this particular trade. And then lastly, we are going to look at Tesla. So we're going to go through a couple futures and a couple stocks with you here. And Tesla has been in this downward channel for some time. Top of the channel, bottom of the channel, top of the channel, bottom of the channel. Now working its way higher here on Tesla. And we see the stochastic momentum heading higher, RSI is heading higher, MACD is heading higher. So, and we've got a bullish PSAR signal. This is all really good bullish stuff. We're up in the after hours market here. So I like what I'm seeing. And I think the fact that we've sold off on this thing from these highs, geez, we can't even get it in here. We've sold off from this high all the way down to here, which was a 33% drop. And now we've recovered a small portion of that, but we're really still towards the lows and we're below the 21 EMA. So I'm bullish Tesla long term. I believe in their energy products. I believe in the Optimus robot product, and I believe in the uh, robo taxi, robo van, self-driving cars as well. More so in the robo taxi, robo van, whatever you want to call it, more than the full self-driving for individuals, because I just think there's more upside there. But I like Tesla. I like what they're doing. Yeah, this thing has really taken a hit, more so recently, now starting to get a little bit of momentum back. I think with the whole political landscape with Elon and Trump and Doge and what they're doing in the government, I'm not making comments one way or the other, that maybe his focus isn't where it should be. And the stock has certainly taken a hit, despite the stock being a phenomenal stock. I definitely think we're going to be over 360 in the future, but let's get into that. So understanding where these things all closed at and where we are, let's get into some trades and we'll take a look at some of the trades we made today and some of the trades I want to share with you. All right. So let's take a look quickly. This is the Lazy Trader account today. As you can see, nice day. on the session. Pretty much everything was green. IWM and Nvidia down slightly. The Q's flat and SoFi down just a fraction on the session overall. But everything's in pretty good shape. I'm not loving our TMF positions, but I'm fine. We own the shares. It's only down. Uh, I mean, I should say only $11,000 on a $390,000 account, which is only a little over 2.5% of my account. And I believe bonds will rebound. So I'm fine with where we are on these. I'm not selling covered calls or anything against them at this point. But anyway, that's not the point of today. Let's get into the three trades that we did today. And we went leap on Tesla, Amazon, and Nvidia. So let's look at those trades. So the first trade I want to get into is we sold a leap here on Tesla today. So I just showed you Tesla starting to come off of the bottom of that channel, marching its way higher again, but it's really sold off like 33% off its highs, and it's only rebounded a little bit since then. So I went out 394 days in the investing account and we sold a naked put. Okay. You might think, well, 190, that's way out of the money. I mean, this is the way I trade. So I like these 7 to 10 delta calls. I like long term. And I think I get paid pretty well for it. So when we're looking at this particular trade here, I want to make sure um, everything's still holding up the way I have it. But we actually, um, on this trade, you're taking in 37.60. You're using $8,400 in buying power. Okay. So that is a 46% return, 46% return at 190. The question is, do you think a year from now, it's like a year and a month. Okay. So do you think by March of next year, Tesla will be above 190, knowing that it's at 360 today? 360 today. So this trade again is going to pay me roughly 45% if I leave it on the whole time. I may take it off at 80, 90%, but of a winner. But do we think that Tesla will be above 190 a year from now? And it's at 360 today. Okay. My answer is yes. I believe it'll definitely be higher. We're going to be adding to Tesla. It's not a huge portion of my account here. This particular trade's not. And Tesla is less than 5% of my entire account. So not a big portion into this, but we'll take this little win. For us, this would be a nice return of 45% on a trade. And I'm only using $8,000 in buying power out of my 390,000. So we're only risking 2% buying power wise on this particular trade. All right. So there's the Tesla trade that we're in. Let's take a look at the Nvidia trade. Now, I went into Nvidia here, same basic setup. I'm going out a year, 394 days on Nvidia. Now, Nvidia has come off of its lows, but I still think Nvidia is $150 in the near term, and I think it's way more than that long term. However, Nvidia is sitting here today, okay, at $139. Okay, so that's where we're trading is 139 bucks on Nvidia. Right. So knowing that we're at 139, again, I'm out. This time a little higher delta. I went to 90s. I could have done something possibly a little bit lower, but I like the 90 strike. I think that's a solid area. If I'm looking at the NVIDIA charts, okay, you can't really see what I'm looking at, but the 3 ATR band right now is at 95 and it's pinching in more. Okay, so as Nvidia stays up here and starts to pinch in, okay, you're way outside the Bollinger Bands on the weeklies. You're way outside the 3 ATR band. So I like the 90 level. Okay, I think that's a decent level. That level also coincides with a previous pivot level that we saw there around 95. So that 95 price, really pretty good. The great thing about this is, look what we're bringing in. We're bringing in on this particular trade. Okay, we're bringing in almost $4,300 and we're only using 3,600 in buying power. So this is giving us about 120% return on this particular trade, okay, using portfolio margin. Okay. Even if you were to use cash secured on this thing, uh, you'd still have a really, really good return. So cash secured on this thing, I mean, if we were at 90 using 800 shares, again, you're about 72,000 minus the 4,000, so about 68, as you can see here, the max loss. So even if I made $4,300 on this thing using about 68,000 in margin, you're still making over 6% on this particular trade. In a year, which is not the greatest thing ever, but would you be willing to be put Nvidia at 90? But on the buying power, we're using 120% return on this trade using buying power. And I'm more than happy to own Nvidia at 90. Okay, that would be uh, one of the lowest prices that we've seen dating back to April of a year ago. Okay, so April of 24. So that's all the way back to April of 24, which again is a little about a year ago. All right, so there we are on Nvidia. So we're just getting long a couple opportunities. And then last one is Amazon, which I really liked this trade, maybe the most of all of them. So as I mentioned, Amazon swing trade, bouncing off that 50 EMA, potentially in here. I like where Amazon is. It's a great company. I think it's looking to potentially get a reverse here. I think it's going to be another Tesla and Nvidia type of a move where we've really sold off pretty good and now we rally back towards some highs. But we still went out a year and a month, 394 days. I'm going to sell the 165s on Amazon, which is well below pretty much anything that we're looking at. There's really no support that low on here, so we would have to run through a lot of levels just to get to 165. But why I chose that strike because again, I like that whole 10-ish delta, 7, 10, maybe 12 delta on these leaps. And typically I sell 12 delta on my SPY leaps every week. So and that seems to pay off. So 12 delta has been pretty good for me here. We're taking in $3,120 by selling these, and I'm only using $4,000 in margin. So because of that, I'm getting about a 75% return on this trade in a year. So I really, really like that trade. All right. So, and again, if you remember what the chart looked like, whether we bounce from here or don't bounce from here, I still think it's a good potential entry point for this particular trade. All right, so there's our Tesla, Nvidia, and Amazon trades. Let's get into the final two trades today, and let's talk about uh, our RTY trade and a TLT coverage strangle trade. So let's get into it. I'll share my screen with you. All right, so here's is the Income Navigator account on the session today. Pretty good day overall. Had a couple spec trades and some stocks go a little bit lower, but other than that, a pretty good day. Let's look at this RTY trade. We just put this thing on. Okay, it's up 10% now in a day, but I want to share the trade with you and let's take a look at take a look at how this trade is built and what we're doing with this particular trade. Okay. So on this trade, what we did was we went down, and it's a 112 trade. On this particular trade, let me make sure I get all the details for you on this. All right, we sold the 2200 and 2175, so 25 wide up in here. So as you can see, we can show the table as well. Okay, so we sold the 2175, bought the 2200. So there's your put debit spread. Okay, and then we sold the 5 delta, and we could have gone higher, but we didn't. We sold twice as many of these naked puts on here. So that made this particular trade. Now, I did drop the naked puts a little bit lower. Why? Well, because it still gave me a really good return. So you can see here that in the tail, if RTY continues to just move higher or stay higher, we're going to make $945 using about $16,000 in capital. Okay, so using $16,000 in capital, we make 945, and that's going to give us about a 5% return, which is just a little in 71 days. 5% is just a little bit lower than I like to get. I like 3% a month. However, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to take this off early. And even if we reverse down here, I'm going to make even more money potentially in the trap. I could make almost $5,000 if we drift lower. So either way, I like the trade. I'll take 5% in 70 days. I believe I'm going to get more than that. If I close it at 90% winner and I close it early in like 45 to 50 days, it's going to become about a 6 to 7% return in uh, in 45 to 50 days, which is more than I'm looking for. So there's the RTY trade. And then the last trade I wanted to talk about was this TLT covered strangle trade. And this is the one we just put on today. So let's talk about this trade. And let's go into, in fact, let's do it this way. Let's go to our activity and let's just duplicate this order so you can see what we're doing on this particular trade and how we set this thing up and why. All right, so we looked at TLT. Okay. The low on the chart of TLT, which is all the way back to last January. So let's take a quick look at that. Okay. Looking back here, last January, we hit the low of about 85, and then we really bounced and rallied since then, and we've really just been chopping around. Let's say we revisit somewhere in, we want to fill this gap between 86 and 85. Okay. Well, here's what I did, and it's a conservative trade in my opinion as well. Okay. I put on an 84 put, so we would actually have to go well lower, break that 85, even the gap fill is at 86 to 85. Right? So if we break the 85, I would be more than happy to take assignment at 84. And if I take assignment on this, what I will do is I will I'll write another strangle against it. So I'll be doing a covered strangle against my assigned shares. So the goal here is I don't really think we're going to rally up to here, but I wanted the extra income from selling the calls. So I'm selling the call, okay, just to give me extra income. If we get assigned, we will then not wheel it. We'll wheel it, but we'll be using a covered strangle. So instead of just writing calls against it, I'm going to write another strangle against this thing and continue to crank out income. If it doesn't happen, we're going to make $280 using $2,000. Okay, so overall, on this trade, we're going to make about 13% in 30 days. So I'll take my 13% in 30 days if this thing expires. If we come down here, I'll be excited to take assignment of these contracts. Okay, and we've got 10 contracts, so we're going to get 1,000 shares of this at 88. So that's going to cost us about $88,000, but it won't cost us that much in buying power in here. But we will have to use cash for that. But we have plenty of cash in this account to do that. So there's the plan. That's what I'm looking to do. Just giving you a little bit of a sense of a trade. I do have another one of these working. Okay, so this particular one up here has already been working for 9 days, and we're up 35% already of the trade. I'm not going to take it off necessarily early. I would take it off between 75 and 90%. Otherwise, I'm going to let this thing go, and we're just going to keep making some cash on this particular trade. But these should generate somewhere around 10% return in 30 days on these trades. So there's where we are. Hopefully that's helpful to you. So I'll give you a handful of trades to work today. So we got NVIDIA, Tesla, Amazon. We put on those leap trades today. We've got a TLT covered strangle that we're getting set up for. It starts as a strangle. If we get assigned, we'll actually sell covered strangles against it. Okay. And then RTY, we've got a 112 trade in. So there you go. There's 5 trades. Hope this was helpful for you. You get a chance to see at least some of the trade ideas that I'm thinking of and why I'm looking at these particular trades. We're having a fantastic year. We're up 8 to 9% already in all the accounts, doing really, really well, close to all-time highs in the investing account, and we're at year-to-date highs in the trading account. So really, really good stuff. Excited where we are. We're having one of our best months ever trading in the Income Navigator account. We are sitting at $25,000, which is pretty much right at the all-time largest months that we've had. We've been at some $20,000 months before. If we continue to go higher, now we do have some hedges coming off, so that's going to pull us back a bit. But if we have a few more winning trades come off while those hedges come off, we'll be in great shape. All right. If you like this video, click the like button down below. Helps the algorithms, helps the channel. If you like it, help me out. Let's see if we can get to 200 likes here. I'd really appreciate it. I'd love to see you clicking that like button down below. If you're not a subscriber, feel free to join. And if you want to check out what we're doing in the Discord channel, what are you waiting for? Okay, you can go down in the description below. There's a code, KING, King. You can use King as your code. It's going to give you 40% off the first month. Come in, see what we're like, help put a trading plan together, get some ideas. Okay? I guarantee you're going to get takeaways and education that are well worth the investment. Okay? It's a low investment for you, way less than a college education. Come for the education, stay for the camaraderie and the great team. You're going to get a ton of trade ideas every single day and a ton of education as well. Why not? All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye bye.